Alright, we are here at the shop where the kettle corn masters machines are being built. And my kids wanted some kettle corn, so we're going to cook up a quick batch for them. So, we're going to do this real quick. Come on over here, Jace, look on the inside here. You'll notice the bowl has a little ring right here, a little bump. We're going to fill the oil to the top of that bump. Alright? Now, I'm going to turn the machine on. A couple of clicks. She's going. You can hear it sounding good. I'm not going to turn it up too loud right now. I'm going to wait till I get my oil in. Put the oil in right to about the top of that. And that's about 4 cups. So, now it's going. I'm going to turn it on full blast. Hopefully you can hear me. It gets kind of noisy. So while that's heating up, I'm going to go in here and grab a couple of kernels. Just a couple of kernels. I'm going to evenly place them throughout here. Now what that does is that's kind of like a gauge to tell me when I want to put my sugar put the rest of the popcorn in. So while that's cooking, do a couple of things. You notice what kind of gloves I have here. These are actually MIG welding or TIG welding gloves. You can get them in any weld shop. Almost ready there. Now this all has to cook to about 500 or 300 degrees, then it'll start popping. So when those kernels start to pop, that tells me I'm at 300 degrees. And that means I'm ready to put in about 5 cups of corn. Now it's not pooping. It's just about ready to start popping. You see that? Alright. I'm going to put it in here in just a second. Now the timing on this is critical, as I've learned. Those are real pops. I'm going to put it in there. Stick it back in the box. Grab my paddle. Give it just a little gentle stir. I don't want to stir too much, because if I keep it stirred too much, what's going to happen is a lot of the oil burns off, and it's staying too cold. When I see that, you want to keep the kernels off the edge because it's hotter on the edge. So you do want to stir just a little bit, not much. But when it starts to do a real pop, and you'll see it here in a second, you can see that. See, there's a pop, there's another pop, there's another pop. Starting to do a real pop. I'm going to walk over here and grab my sugar. Just about there. You see I'm getting a good pop. I dump it in there. Put this back in my bucket. Now I stir. What this does is, the timing is critical there. You don't want to put the sugar in too early because then it caramelizes too quickly and it makes the popcorn look like it's burnt. Now I'm going to stir gently. I don't want to stir too much because then that means the seeds are not going to be getting hot enough to burn, but you got to keep it off the edge. We trade places with you, Chase. You got to keep the turn moving just a little bit on the outside edges, because that's about 500 degrees on the pot. Now you see that steam coming off? Not only is that water, but it's also the moisture in the oil. Now you can kind of hear it. Make sure my bucket's in front. Now it's popping. Now you'll notice why I got glasses on. And I'm stirring good. You can hear it going. That's really going. Now you know it's getting slower. It's just about the time to stop. And I want to turn it off and dump it real quickly. Alright. And that's how you pop kettle corn. Now you'll notice at the very bottom here, there's a few kernels that didn't get popped. That's what we put. Now this is why we put it in the sifter. So we take this, take this, we dump it in here. That's our sifter. And we move it around. Now all these little holes here, does two things. Once it cools it, because this is hot enough that it would melt the bag when you put it in. But you can hear those seeds going in these holes. So get rid of those kernels. You don't want those in there. Now the other thing is, While it's cooling, before it gets too cool, dump some sugar or some salt on there. I like stirring it just a little bit. You don't want to get too salty. I tend to want to throw too much salt on it. So, cooling it, and I'm using 2 burners, or 2,
shovels.
What are these things? Shovels. Whatever you call them. Scoopers. Popcorn scoopers. Okay, so I'm cooling it, and I'm also sifting it at the same time. Now sometimes you'll get what looks like a burnt piece, which isn't a burnt piece. That's just where the sugar is caramelized, and those are edible. What you don't want are the burned ones, and you don't want the seeds. So, you'll see the lighter color ones are the ones that are less caramelized, and also the first few part of the batch. Now I used the 80 quart popper here. So now we're going to scoop them up. I don't want to put it there. This one here, I'm not going to use now. So I'll put it in my clean bag. Now I'm going to take my welding glasses or gloves off. I'm going to grab me a bag. And let's get the bigger bags for you guys. Get the bigger bags. Now open them up. Make sure you get some of these really nice big bags with the labels on them. The plain ones don't cost that, they aren't that much less. Oops, I did that wrong. Force of habit. These fit perfectly. You can get these scoopers at any wholesale restaurant supply. So you can get them at some kitchen places. They don't usually have them as big. If you go to a restaurant wholesale place in whatever state you live in, and you go to the restaurants and ask them where do they get their stuff. That's where you get these. They're not cheap. They're good quality. And then put your little zapper or little tie on it, and kind of pop it down a little bit. Squeeze them all together. Actually, when they're tight, they are less likely to break. And there you go. Ooh, don't want that on that hot machine; it'll melt it. There you go.
Hey.
Yay! Okay, that should be it.